Um, Hi you guys, this is officially the intro of this video, and then I'm basically just gonna get into what I'm gonna be doing today. But anyways guys, I wanted to do this just so, even if you guys are worried about what's going on out there in the world right now, if you're worried, I just want to put a video out for you guys, a video to maybe creep you out, or just in a fun way, just so you can stop worrying about that and you can just watch this video and get away from all that. And hopefully, I don't know how long this video is gonna be. I don't know if it's gonna be an hour. I don't know. So after this intro is done, I'll just get right into the stories. As you're watching this video right now, it is, what time is it right now? I'm not sure, but I know it's like around maybe 2, 3, and this video is coming out at 7 tonight. So yeah, that's basically why, I wanted to make this video for you guys, is that I want you to have something to watch during this quarantine, because I know people are scared out there and stuff is happening, but I just want to give you this video just so you can get your mind off of stuff for a little while, maybe over an hour. If this video is an hour, get your mind off of stuff for an hour. I've gathered some stories, scary stories, to read to you guys, I guess you would say. About 2 or 3 of them I wrote myself, and then other ones I got from this channel called Mr. Nightmare, and just from other ones I would like to explain to you guys, maybe if you hadn't heard before. So not all of them are mine, just keep that in mind. I will put in between stories what story they are and who, if they're from Mr. Nightmare, or they're from me, or they're from another story, or if they're from like a channel. I will cite it just so I won't be accused of stealing stories from people, because I don't want to do that. So anyway guys, that was the intro. I hope you guys are all doing okay right now, and I just wanted to give you guys this video to watch. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and get ready for all the scary stories I'm about to tell you. Okay, I'll see you then. Hello you guys. Welcome to today's video where I'm going to be telling you a scary story. Now, if you see that in my screen, that is my computer, because this is the original story that I have written myself called The Stranger. So I'm going to read it right here, because when I last took it, I tried to explain it without reading it, and I just got off track, said things that weren't even in the story. So I'm just going to read it right here, so you'll see my face. Probably turn toward the screen. I'll probably turn the camera a few times, but anyways, enjoy the story called The Stranger. It was September 23rd, Chicago, River West, and it was like a movie night for Ruth. It was a movie night for Ruth, sorry. She loved watching all kinds of movies except horror. Horror was her greatest nightmare. Of all the things, she did not like horror. Besides that, tonight Ruth was going to be watching a funny movie until the phone rang. "Are you kidding me?" Ruth sighed. She then went over to the phone and picked it up. "Hello?" she answered. She just heard breathing. It was deep and hard. "Hello?" she answered again. The breathing continued, then Ruth decided to hang up. After the call, Ruth's popcorn finished popping. She opened the microwave and got the hot, steaming bag out, opened it, and poured it into a bowl. She then went and sat down on the couch to watch her movie, and the phone rang again. "Come on," Ruth yelled. She got up, speed-walked over, and picked up the phone. "Hello?" she answered. "Hello," the voice said. "I've called to tell you that your security system is shut down due to the late payment." "Oh my God," Ruth exclaimed. She wasn't supposed to pay that for another month. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't pay that," she told the man. "That's okay, ma'am. You just need to pay it right away, or we'll have to come over tomorrow and take out your security system, the man explained. Okay, I could pay it tomorrow because I'm getting paid tomorrow. Is that okay? Ruth told him. Yeah, that's fine. Long night tonight, he told her. Yeah, she answers back. She then sighed and was standing feeling stressed. Her hair was kind of curly, and she scratched her head. Then, you look tired, the man said. What did you just say, she asked. You sound tired, the man replied. Ruth then went to lock the doors and the windows. She knew that she wasn't safe. Who are you? Ruth asked. Ruth was now terrified. The question you should really be asking is, did you just lock me in or out? I'm sorry, I'm low in the frame. Ruth's heart immediately stopped. Why are you doing this to me? Ruth yelled. Then there was no answer for 5 seconds. Then he said, why not, in a dark tone. Then the lights went out and Ruth was in total darkness. She started to look around the room. She then armed herself with a knife and started to search the house. As she gripped the knife in her hand, she started to head upstairs. She got up the stairs and walked into the long hallway in her house. And she decided that she was going to find this killer. Ruth decided to start in her bedroom. She then opened the door and it creaked slowly as she opened it. As she looked in her room, she felt around her dresser and found a flashlight and then turned on the light. Yes, she exclaimed. She then gripped the flashlight in her arm and held it tight. She then started to look around the room. As she got the flashlight on, she looked under the bed. Nothing was there. Bathroom, nothing. Then the final place she had to look was her closet. Sadly, Ruth didn't watch horror movies, so, I'm sorry, I got a notification. So she would not think a killer would be in the closet. She then started to open the closet door. Her palms were sweaty, and her heart was pumping fast, and she was terrified. She then swung open the door and looked around her. Her flashlight, but then she looked in the corner of the closet, and then the killer raised his knife and sliced her in the arm. Ah, Ruth screamed, and she then dropped her flashlight. The killer then ran towards Ruth with his knife in the air and failed to stab her. She then escaped and smashed him with her lamp and ran out of the room. She tried to make it down the stairs as fast as she could, but tripped on the carpet. Ruth then fell down the set of stairs in her house. She then got up and found bruises on her body. She tried to get up as fast as she could. She was hurting and limping from her leg. As the killer was on her tail, Ruth was fast to grab another knife from the knife set, and she stabbed the killer in the leg. The killer grunted and fell to the ground. Ruth then got her phone and started to dial 911. She called the police, but as she was dialing, the killer disappeared. The phone kept ringing until the police picked up, and the voice sounded weird, and he told her, "You're going to die tonight, Ruth." The killer's voice rasped. Ah, Ruth screamed and fell on the floor and started to cry. She sobbed on the floor, but she knew that crying wasn't going to fix her problems or get her out of this house alive. So she got off to the floor and stood up and went to go find the killer. As the killer was hidden in the house, Ruth decided to call the police again, and it was time. It was them. Hello? 911, what's your emergency? Hello? Please help me. My name is Ruth. There's somebody trying to kill me. Okay, just calm down. What is your address? 39672 Oak Street, Ruth replied. Please hurry, she panted. Okay, ma'am. We are sending police over there right now. Okay, thank you, Ruth exclaimed. About 5 minutes after the call, Ruth was bleeding and she was dying, so she decided to go to the bathroom and lock the door and clean herself up. She then got a rag and dabbed it with some water and cleaned the blood on her. Then she got some alcohol and rubbed it on her hand where the killer had sliced it. After she wrapped her hand in cloth, she just sat there and healed to rest. Meanwhile, while she was asleep, the police finally arrived and the killer was setting up a trap to catch Ruth. They were deadly and sure to kill her. But then there were 5 knocks outside the door. Open up, this is the police. A few minutes later, the doors creaked slowly open. One cop creeped in, and then splat. As blood oozed everywhere, the cops screamed as they saw their partner's head smashed by a metal block that weighed 100 pounds. After seeing the horrors of death, the cops continued into the house. Then, the cops heard one slit. One cop just got his throat slit, and he dropped to the ground. Whew. They then started to pull out their guns and loaded them. Another cop's throat was slit, and they fell onto the floor. Then another cop tripped over a wire of string, and an axe tied to the ceiling swung down and chopped his head in half. Ah! All the cops screamed in fear as they saw their officer's brain chunks on the floor, and blood started to river on the floor. After the killer came out and started to kill people left and right, he gutted them, slit their throats, and stabbed them until their last breath was gone. After the massacre of the cops of Illinois, Ruth was still in the bathroom, and her eyes started to twitch, and some pain that she had started to come back. On her, every bruise had cut started to hurt again. Ruth had started to rise up. She then looked at her cuts. They were still bad, and they stopped oozing blood, but she didn't hope they were infected. After she got up, she moaned and groaned because her cuts and bruises burned like it would be worth it when she would get out of here alive. The knife was impaled in Ruth's back. The killer twisted it, now breaking her spine, and then everything went black. After a while, Ruth woke up, but she was dying and she was losing blood. Her back was being dragged across the ground in her backyard. Then it stopped. She was now just lying on the floor. The killer started to dig in the ground, but Ruth knew he was digging her grave. She tried to escape, but she didn't have the strength. But the killer knew that Ruth was alive, but he wasn't going to kill her. Or he was just going to let her suffer in her grave. About 10 minutes later, he was done with digging the grave, and he started to pick up Ruth. He laid her in the ground carefully. And then he said his final word to Ruth, "You deserved this." And he started to put dirt over her. 30 minutes later, it was done. It was now 4 months later, and now Ruth's house was put up for sale, and the killer was never caught. But now a new family was moving in. "Okay, sweetie, are you ready to move into your new house?" she told her 4-year-old son. They then got off the car to go see the house. The mother then gave her son the ball and told him to go see the backyard. In the backyard, Jacob thought it was the biggest yard in the world. But when he would get old, he would think it was not so big. He then started to play soccer and kick the ball into a bush. He then started to walk towards the bush and brush through the bramble. And he didn't just see a soccer ball in hand. He just didn't see a soccer ball. He saw a hand. Sticking out of the ground, the nails on the hand were painted pink, and that hand was Ruth's. The end. Welcome to the second story in this scary story marathon that I'm doing. Today is a short and terrifying story about when two friends are Snapchatting and the horrors you can find in their selfies in the background. Here we go. This is based off a Mr. Nightmare story, or I think it's from Llama Arts. I don't know, but I don't want to take credit for this story as my own because it's not, and I'm going to be telling it in the perspective of the guy and the boy, and not the girl. So, here we go. This is a short and terrifying story of something that happened when I was Snapchatting a friend. I'm pretty young. I'm only 13, still in middle school. A girl I really liked started to message me on Snapchat, and we started messaging each other for a few nights. One night when I was watching TV, she sent me a snap of herself laying in her bed without caption. I sent a message saying, "What's up?" She sent another identical picture, this time with the caption saying, "Not much. Not much. You?" She set the timer for 10 seconds, so it gave me plenty of time to analyze the picture, including her bedroom in the background, and the dark outline of a person standing outside of her window. I quickly sent a response message saying, "Is that your brother in the background?" She then sent another snap with the caption saying, "What do you mean?" In this picture, the figure was closer, and I could see his hand pressed up against the glass. I closed the snap quicker to tell her that someone's at your window. Turn around. She opened my snap fast, but I didn't hear back. It wasn't until midnight that she finally texted me back, and she explained the whole situation. She said as soon as she saw my text, she looked behind her and saw that a figure at the window. She screamed and that caused the person who turned out to be a 20-something-year-old man to open the window and jump into the room. From there, she ran to her parents and woke her dad up, who went to the room and to find nothing but an open window. It wasn't exactly a personal story of mine, but it freaks me out knowing that the only thing that saved my friend was that I was able to see the figure outside of her window. And that is the end of the second story. It was a short one, but we still have plenty of stories to go, but I hope you enjoyed this story. This is story 3. This next story is about a man who finds the truth about vacation being a paradise, and it ends up turning into his worst nightmare. Okay. I have nothing typed for this story, so I'm just going to try and go off my head as best as I can, but I hope you guys still enjoy. A man is in his vacation in Tokyo, Japan. He did not have time to check into his original hotel as planned, so he ended up going into another hotel. He set off all his things onto the floor and watched some TV for the night. After an hour, he then fell asleep. Then about another hour later, he heard bangs at the door. Yeah, you get the idea. He hears bangs at his door. He then looks to see the silhouette of feet under his doorway. He freaks out, knowing that there's someone there that he doesn't know. But he always never locks the door, so he wanted to get up to make sure that the door was locked. I think he did. I don't know. He then went to go take a look outside, and nobody was there. He then went back to sleep, and then another hour, there was more banging on the door. It was the same man, the same silhouetted feet under the door. He then went to go open the door again after the feet walked away. He looked outside his hallway corridors until he saw a running silhouette running faster and faster towards him. Apparently, it was a guy with a knife who was all dagged up and was probably homeless. He ran as fast as he could. The man then shut his door and locked it tight. He stood there for about 5 minutes, waiting. The guy waited outside from the door and said, "I'm gonna effing kill you." You can add that in for yourself. So, I should get out of this real fast. Sorry. So, he then looks out of his peephole 5 minutes later and sees the man standing there, just staring with his crooked grin smile. His skin was pale, his hair was greasy, he had cuts all over his body. The man then contacted the police, and he saw the man go away. The other one, the homeless one. The security guard said that he had been doing this to people for a while, and that they'd been trying to catch him with the police, but they never could. The man then left the hotel that night and went to his other hotel, where he stayed at. He decided and knew that he didn't want to lock the door because he knew that that man wouldn't be coming around anymore. He always felt safe. Guess you could say that. So, he ends up going to sleep, and an hour later, he hears his door open, wide. And then he hears a thump next to his bed. It's the same man with the knife. He has been passed out on the floor. The man then screams and runs out of the room. He said that he would never take another vacation after that. But that's what happens when your literal paradise vacation, a break from all the stress, can turn into your worst nightmare. Welcome to the second to last segment of my horror story, kind of thing with you guys. Now, sorry, my eye's kind of itchy. This story is called Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, based on the Twilight Zone episode. I'm basically retelling the episode to you guys, you know, just if none of you have ever seen it, but, this story is about a man and his wife who go onto a plane not knowing what they're about to experience. A nightmare at 20,000 feet. Okay. Sorry. A man and his wife board a plane. They're going on a trip to somewhere to go visit their family. They're on the plane for a good while. It's raining and it's stormy out. A man then has his shade open to where his room is right where the wing of the plane is. As he looks outside, he sees something out there, messing with the plane, tampering with it, breaking it. The thing then looks back at him, and it's a gremlin. Now, that wouldn't be that scary, but to him, it was the most terrifying thing he'd ever seen. As he looked at it, he closed the curtain back, slowly. He then told his wife, "Look, there's something outside the window. Look, there's something." They then look, and nothing's there. The plane was completely in place, and nothing was going wrong. About a few hours later, the man wakes up. About a few minutes later, the man wakes up again. He then sees, he hears the thing once again. He sees it and then closes curtain shut. A few seconds later, he decided to lift up the curtain. And what was there terrified him. It was the gremlin, face pressed against the window, staring at him. He then called for flight service to come. He said, come, quickly." They came over quickly, but the gremlin was already gone. After he was gone, they said, "Sir, do you really want some sleeping pills?" So his wife goes to get him some from the plane. As the flight attendant service comes with the pills, his wife gives them to him. He puts the pill in his mouth, and after his wife has fallen asleep, he takes it out. He knows he's not crazy. He knows that what he saw was real. So, he then sees the gremlin again. He gets up sneakily during the night on the plane, where nobody is awake. He then walks over to a guy who he sees with his eyes that he has a gun. He walks up and walks towards him, pretends to drop a pen from his coat, and grabs the gun quietly. He then takes it and walks back. But he wanted to shoot it, but he knew the only way he would be able to do that is to open the exit lock on his window. He sees the gremlin tampering with the plane. He knows that if he lets this happen, everybody on there was going to die. The man grabs the gun and opens the window. Whoosh. Wind, rain, and thunder concluded and flew inside the plane and was in the man. He was about to fly away. He had the gun, watching the gremlin. The gremlin was standing there, still tampering with the plane, but looked shockingly as the man opened the window. His wife screamed, and everybody screamed. The flight attendant service then ran over to see what he was doing, until the man could gain control when he was outside of the plane about to fly out. He pointed the gun at the gremlin and shot it until it was dead. They then got him back inside and stopped at the nearest airport. At the nearest airport, the man was taken to the mental hospital, and his wife was left free. Nobody believed that what the events that occurred there were real. But on the plane was the wreckage still left from the gremlin. Welcome to our last story segment in this scary story video. This story is called The Day That Death Knocked on Your Door. It's a story about a man who fears his death is coming sooner than he expected. But while trying to avoid death, death ends up coming to him. Louis, an 82-year-old, was sitting on his deathbed one day. He was taking medication and drinking water with it to make sure that he swallowed it. He was never allowed to leave his bed because his hospice wouldn't let him. He didn't want him to get injured or some kind of way. This is, again, a story by me, not by somebody else. I made this up. It's completely my story and I wrote it, so I just remember it right now. So as Louis got up from the bed, like he was never supposed to, he put on his slippers and walked towards the kitchen. He felt like having a snack. He grabbed cheese, and he took it out and ate it. It was just like cheese, I don't know. He then had his snack and went back to his bed, where he sat there. But Louis always wondered to him, what was death? When was it going to happen? He always felt like and believed it happened expectedly for a reason, because it'd rather be scary if you would have a clock on your whole life saying when you're gonna die. He felt like it was much more better if it just happened like that. He then got 3 knocks on the door late at night after his hospice went home. He waited there because he was asleep. Then he heard another 3 knocks. He then decided to get up from his bed, get his slippers on, and walk towards the door. As he walked towards the door, he saw that there's blackness, where there was supposed to be trees and earth was supposed to be, but it wasn't there. Just blackness. And you could see fire in the distance. He then opened the door and saw a thing in a black robe, holding the thing you use to plow crops, basically. He held that in his hand. He stared. Louis could not see his face, or even if it was a face. The thing then slowly lifted up its hood, and it was a skeleton head, because it was death. Death knocked on his door, the day that Louis had feared. It has come. Death then reached his hand out to him and grabbed it. Louis knew that it was his time to go. So he took the hand, and he walked out, and the door closed, shutting behind him. walking into eternal darkness. The next day, his hospice arrived back at his house. She opened the door and went back. I don't know if it was a she or he, you can correct me, but she went back into the room and saw Lucas's thing. Lucas's, what is it called? His heart rate on the screen. The line wasn't moving up and down, but straight. Lewis passed away. The hospice head cried as she seen this. But she always knew what he believed in. So she called 911 to come get his body, and she left the house going to go care for somebody else. Thank you guys for joining me for this scary story segment. I hope this kept your mind off of things for a little while. I love you guys, and I hope you guys are all staying safe. Right now during this pandemic, I know it's scary, but I really wanted to make this video to kind of give you guys a little scare. Not in that way, but just to hear a couple creepy stories that I hope you guys enjoyed. But anyway, guys, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. And turn on post notifications so you never miss any new content. New videos are coming soon, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.